guys, welcome back to Astroways. We spent the last few episodes going back to the basic knowledge of Bazi. Today let's go back even further to the basic of the basic. How to calculate the 10-year luck pillars. Imagine you don't have a chart generator. All you have is a calendar. How do you calculate your 10-year luck pillars? This is basic, but I'm only talking about it now because you'd fall asleep if I fill you in this boring information in the beginning of the Bazi course. And it wasn't necessary for you to know because you can just generate the charts online. But now that you already know what Bazi chart is, when I'm explaining this to you, you'd get it very fast. Especially if you're interested in knowing why and how these things got generated, not just blindly following what's been provided online. And knowing how to calculate 10-year luck pillars can also benefit you if you're expecting a baby. You don't know what day it will be born yet, but the month won't be far off. And you want to know its potential 10-year luck pillars beforehand, so you can decide if you want to pick a good birth time for a C-section or name it depending on its chart situation, etc. Okay, so how do we calculate the 10-year luck pillars? Let's start by looking at the earthly branch of the year pillar on your natal chart. See if you got a yang branch or a yin branch. Once you get that information, write it down. Okay, I have a yang year branch. I have yin year branch. The second thing you need to know is your gender. Are you male or female? Now, sometimes I hear people say, well, I was born a male, but now I identify myself as a female. Well, I don't care if you identify yourself as a fish. We're talking about the natal chart reading here. As long as you were born with a penis, you can read your chart as a male chart. Okay? So, if you were born a male with yang year branch, your 10-year luck pillars will be counted forward. If you have a yin year branch, your 10-year luck pillars will be counted backward. Based on what? I'll tell you in a bit. But first you need to know if you should count forward or backward. So that's if you were born a male. If you're born a female, it's the opposite. A female chart with a yang year branch, you need to count your 10-year luck pillars backward. While if you have a yin year branch, you need to count your 10-year luck pillars forward. Very easy to remember. Male associates with yang, female associates with yin. Yang male and yin female both count forward, while yin male and yang female count backward. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to know. Now, counting it based on what? Based on the month pillar on your natal chart. If you were born in Yang Wood, Tiger month, male born in Yang Branch year, then your first 10-year luck pillar would be the Yin Wood Rabbit. The second 10-year luck pillar would be the one following after that, which is Yang Fire Dragon. And so on and so on. While for people who need to count backward, is the opposite. So if you were born a female in a Yang Branch year, and the month pillar on your natal chart is Yang Wood Tiger, then your first 10-year pillar would need to count back to the previous one, which would be Yin Water Ox. And your second 10-year luck pillar would be Yang Water Rat, counting back like that. So now we know the order of our 10-year luck pillars and what they are one after the other. Now you should have a list of pillars. The next thing we need to calculate is the years associated with the pillars. Which year do we start the first 10-year luck pillar? In Chinese, we say which year we enter the 10-year luck pillars. Some people enter the 10-year luck pillar at the age of 1, and some people at the ages 2, 3, or 4. Maximum age of 11. You won't find anybody enter the 10-year luck pillars at the age of 15. No. Why? I'll tell you how to calculate it, then you know it's not possible. But before that, there's something you need to know. In China, you were born 1 year old, factoring in the time you spent in your mom's belly as a fetus. You were born already 1 year old. Of course, that's not used in our new generation anymore. No one wants to know that they're 1 year older than they're supposed to be. But in Bazi chart calculation, in most chart generators, they still count that year up front. So when I said people enter 10-year luck pillar between the age of 1 and 11, in reality it's between age 0 to 10. Just to keep that in mind, okay? And to be able to calculate that entry point of the 10-year luck pillar, there's also something I need to introduce you guys, something called the Chinese 24 solar terms. I believe some of you already heard of it. We'll do a separate video to talk about it in more details about what each one of them is. Here, let's not overly stress about it. If you never heard of the term 24 solar terms, it's okay, because you see that reflect on the month pillar of your chart. The 24 solar terms consist of 12 pairs of major and minor solar terms interlaced with each other. And the 12 major solar terms are the ones that determine the change of the month pillars. They are the major phases of the season and the climates of the year, which reflect the positions and the relationship between the sun and the earth. Funny enough, a lot of people think Bazi charts month pillars based on lunar calendar and the phases of the moon. No, the moon participates in climate and season changes, yes, but the moon pillar changes are not based on the moon phases. It's based on the solar terms, which are actually based on our solar calendar. A lot of people don't know that. They come to me and say, here's my lunar calendar birthday, thinking that it might be useful for me. I'm like, thank you, but there's no need for that hassle actually. So these 12 major solar terms or 12 months pillar changes always happen during the first 2 weeks of the month on a solar calendar, especially between the 4th and the 8th days of the month. Okay, now we have an idea more or less when there's a change on the month pillar. Now let's go back to how to calculate the entry point of our 10-year luck pillar based on this information. Very simple. Say you were born in the middle of the month and you're a male born in yang branch year. Now all you need to count is from the day you were born to the next change of the month pillar. How many days are there? Because you're a male born in yang branch year, you're counting forward to the next major solar term. If you were female born in yang branch year, you need to count backward to the previous major solar term and see how many days until then. Once you've counted it and have the number of days, here all you need to know is every 3 days is counted as a year. So every day is counted as 4 months. So if you were a male born in yang branch year and there are 18 days between your birthday and the next solar term, then we can divide 18 by 3. You get a 6. The entry point of your 10-year luck pillar is at your 6th birthday. If there's 19 days between your birthday and the next solar term, then that means there's 1 day left over if you try to divide it by 3. And that leftover 1 day is seen as 4 months after your 6th birthday. Same thing goes to if you have 20 days gap between your birthday and the next solar or previous solar term, depending on if you're counting forward or backward. 20 days divided by 3, you get a 6 and 2 days left. And those 2 days means 8 months. So you can add 8 months after your 6th birthday. That's when your first 10-year luck pillar kicks in. Now, there's a question. if your birthday is already by the end of the year and you add a few months on top of your 6th birthday, your first 10-year luck pillar kicks in the next year. Here you find some Bazi chart generators don't factor that in. They don't calculate based on when your birthday is. They calculate it based on the beginning of the year. That's why sometimes when you generate charts on different websites, the 10-year luck pillar has 1 year difference depending on the platform. That's okay, it won't make a massive difference. As long as you know more or less that time period, that's fine. Now you can understand why sometimes online chart generators are not 100% accurate and you always have to factor in your own interpretation. This is interesting. Sometimes you hear rumors like when a family got twins, one twin will suck up all the fortune and luck from the other twin, so one goes flying and the other goes to shit. Some people believe it, but most of the time, if it's twins of a boy and a girl, two people will have completely opposite direction of the 10-year luck pillars. Of course, the life paths will be completely different. That's not one sucking the luck or fortune out of the other. It's just because they have different life paths. Don't let superstition cloud your mind. Always ask why and always analyze things with logic. Okay guys, that's all for today. If you want to have your chart reading with me, you can email me at astroways.info@gmail.com or find me on Facebook at Astroways. If you like my video, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to know more about metaphysics, please subscribe my channel and I'll keep you updated.